Hello if you're new, and welcome back if you are returning. I am Cuddly Fish, and as promised, I am making a series documenting my first ever Type Chain Challenge run. And where else would I start if not with one of my favorite generations, but on modern hardware, with Pokemon Shining Pearl. If you need a refresher on the rules to this challenge, please watch my breakdown video, which will be linked in the description below. And without further ado, let's turn off this TV and go say hello to our mother, who needs us to go find Barry or whatever. And, look, I'm not going to cover this game's entire story beat by beat. If you want to do that, please watch someone else's walkthrough. I just want to focus on the milestones and any moments I find funny. Which, hey, speaking of milestones, me and Grape head over to Lake Verity, where we dap up Rowan and his assistant Dawn, and probably get attacked by birds. At least we get to choose our first partner, or in this case, a free gift Pokemon, since we'll be dropping him off in the box once we get the chance. But to make pleasantries, everyone say hello to Smash. We get our free Pokedex from Rowan, and make our way over to Route 202 to get our actual first partner, Starly, or, as he'll be now known, Droopert. With access to both normal and flying, this makes a really strong start to this run. I drop off Smash at the Pokemon Center, and then double back to Route 201 to nab a Bidoof named Gyat. I then make my way through a couple of trainers and get to Jubilife City, getting the Poketch and laying down the herd on Banana and his Chimchar. On Route 203, I look for my elusive third member, Zubat, but I successfully catch and brand them as a Verd. And then on to Wait, Rourke is a rock specialist, and my whole team is either weak to or not very effective against his. I could always grind up Gyat to 15 and try to sweep with a Bibarel with one water move, but that's a short-term solution. I kind of feel pigeonholed here, and if I'm going to get anywhere with this challenge, I need to be able to start expanding my chain sooner than later. After sharing this revelation with some friends, I was reminded that there are actually some solid grass types pretty early on in the game. And after doing a little bit of research, I realized I've been overlooking one little baby. Enter Thornson, the Badoo, our current ace in the hole. I honestly forgot this bundle of joy was poison typing, so thanks to Verd, not only do we get him, but actually we get two grass Pokemon because Smash can now make his triumphant return. Nothing can really stop me now, and I tell Rockman to get back to his gym, and watch little Thorson go. And with that, I obtain the Cold Badge, access to Rock Smash, and get ready to head back to Jubilife. But that's going to be for another video. Hello if you're new, or welcome back if you're not. Since we rocked Rourke, I now need to make my way to Eterna City for that sweet forest bench. And with Rock Smash at our disposal, I can now head into the Oreburgh Gates basement. Here I can find both a bag of Stardust and Flash, which hopefully will come helpful later. On the way back to and through Jubilife, we need to lay down the law on a few Galactic Grunts with Dawn. Please enjoy the rumble. I start making my way to Floraroma Town, and en route I find an antidote, Rock Tomb, and little Droopert finally evolves. Right outside the town I get some Bullet Seed, and then go to check out with the elderly couple for some free mons. Although I forgot that I'm playing on an alt account, and don't actually have the save data necessary for Mew or Jirachi. Maybe I'll figure it out later. Heading on to Route 205, we get a call for help from a little girl, as her father's being held by Team Galactic in the Valley Windworks. And with a free potion in hand, we give a proper walloping to that security grunt. Once defeated, we were informed that the key to the Windworks is with his friends back at Flora Roma, which, doesn't take long to find. They are harassing the Honey Man and get a one-on-one beatdown. Before returning to the Windworks to free the girl's dad, I make a detour to get pluck from a toddler. Then it's back to business. After unlocking the door and rounding a few corners, we are met with Mars, a Team Galactic commander. With Mars and her grunts fleeing, the little girl is able to finally reunite with her father. And you know what? I'm now free to continue on Route 205, where I gather an X attack, a repel, a super potion, and a Pokeball. After getting those items and some needed XP, I waltz into Eterna Forest and meet Cheryl, one of honestly the more competent partners we'll find. During our romp through the woods, my yacht gets a little bit bigger, and extends the chain to water now. I also found what I hoped could be our sixth member in Baneri, as I remembered Lopunny being pretty decent in this generation. But unfortunately, it wasn't meant to be. At the end of the road, Cheryl parts ways, and we continue on to Eterna City. I do grind up a bit, and Smash hits his protein goals. I also come face to face with the Sinnoh Devil herself, Cynthia. She gives me a cut, but can't really use it yet, at least until we beat the next gym. And speaking of, we're at the point where I need to face Gardenia, or at least her entourage. Enjoy this mini supercut of those encounters, and the fight with the plant lady. And with that, I think we'll call it here for now. Hello if you're new, or welcome back if you're not. I'm Cuddly Fish, and today should be a fun one, as I need to get that Cobble badge. With Cut at our disposal, I head up and grab Thief before heading into Galactic HQ to face off against Jupiter. Of course, I have to make my way through a couple of grunts and a scientist, so enjoy. Ah yes, the second of the three commanders, holding the bike shop guy's Pokemon hostage, or something, for whatever reason. I don't know. But let's get her. Once freed, we were told to swing by the bike shop for a free vehicle, which I do immediately and decide to choose the color green. And look, now it's daytime and we have in-game audio finally. Before heading down the cycling road, I do need to get the Explorer kit from the Underground Man, plus get a little tutorial. What's good, Rourke? Cycling road isn't much, and I only run into a few trainers since I mostly remember how to avoid them. En route 207, Dawn gifts us the dowsing machine before she makes her way back up 206. I then grab a Pokeball and a Super Potion before heading into Mount Coronet and meeting Cyrus for the first time. Route 208 is pretty lax, as all I do is gather an X-Speed and a Pokeball before getting into Hearthome City. Once there, we meet Kira and her Baneri, at which point I head over to the contest hall and say hello to Fantina and Mom. I get the Poffin case from the fan club president and get my yacht complimented by one of their members. A little creepy. In the adjacent building, I snag a shell bell from the Ace trainer and give it to Gyat before running into Guava and beating him up. I am bequeathed an egg from the hiker and backtrack into Amity Square. Not much really to do here except get the spooky plate, amulet coin, attract, and volt switch. I promptly head over to Route 209 and get that good rod from the fisherman. I'm hoping to catch some really nice mons later in the run. Before heading into the Lost Tower, I do get Steel Wing, and then traverse the spire and get an Oval Stone, a Revive, Low Sweep, Strength, and a Cleansing Tag. On the way out, I want to get our official 6th member, and lucky me, Grunk was only a few encounters away, giving me access to Ghost if I choose to add them to the team. Blasting through Salacion City, I head right onto Route 210, and Verd finally becomes a Golbat. Route 215 gives us a few items with an Ether, Fist Plate, Shockwave, and a full heal. And now the moment we've all been waiting for, Vilestone City and Melanie. I just have to get through her crazy puzzle and go head to head. Well, that's definitely not how I thought it would go, but I'm not going to quit here either. I hatched that egg and named this Happini Xerxia. Then promptly dump her for Grunk. And time for a grind supercut. Well, that took a while, but I feel ready for the rematch. Let's give it our all and see how we do. And with that, I attain the Cobble Badge. I also get told to launch an assault on Team Galactic because, you know, they stole something or whatever. But that's for another video. Hello if you're new, and welcome back if you ain't. Just as promised, we need to go fight some grunts and get Dawn's Pokedex back. Now, this episode, if you notice, is a little bit shorter than the other 3 parts. I genuinely forgot how little content there is between the last gym and this next one. So, you know, I guess we're here, and this is what we're doing. But you know, I want to take this opportunity to say thank you for everybody who's been watching and supporting the channel so far. It means a lot that a project like this can, you know, do well. And genuinely, thank you. But let's get back to that fight. After putting those bullies in their place and they return the stolen property, they make way, allowing us to acquire Fly, one of our greatest tools, possibly throughout the entire run. And with it, we can make our return to Hearthhome City, so that way we can go down Route 212. Along the way, we do find an elixir and an antidote. And would you look at that, we're already into Pastoria Town, and we just need to make our way to Crasher Wake. His puzzles aren't too bad, although I do admit I got lost at least once, just because it's been a minute since I've had to do this. And otherwise, here we are. Please enjoy the Smackdown. And as I said, kind of a short episode, but hey, now we got that Fen badge. And, you know, the adventure will continue. Hello if you're new, and welcome back if you ain't. Today should be a pretty cut and dry one as I start off by talking to this grunt about ponds or something. Unfortunately, we don't get to pursue him for too long since Watermelon has decided to reappear and demand a fight. Hey, would you look at that? Smash has graced us with the gift of ground typing and became a Torterra. Continuing on to Route 213, we look for that grunt, which doesn't take that long since it's a small beachfront and he doesn't ever seem to go that far. I mean, come on, dude, you just keep going like a block away. Whatever, we finally have our chance to fight him. He retreats to Lake Valor as we run into Cynthia. She gives us the secret medicine for this poor Psyduck on Route 210, and we make our way over there to forge ahead. Once healed, they run off, and Cynthia rejoins just for a moment to hand us the old charm, which we'll need for our trip to Celestic Town. This part is honestly a nightmare, as I never got Defog, and thankfully I don't really have a problem brute forcing it. After a few harrowing trainer battles, Droopert finally becomes a beautiful Staraptor. And, hey, we get to meet Cynthia's grandma, who needs us to rough up a grunt or something. With them cleared out, we can head into the ruins and get told some exposition or something. I don't know, man. I just really want to fight gym leaders. Before heading out of Celestic Town, though, we do need to talk to Cyrus for, what, the second time now? He commends our efforts, but possibly threatens us. Whatever. We head on back to Hearthhome City to face down Fantina. I always like this gym, probably because I like numbers and equations way more than words and sentences. Now, as we head into this fight, I do want to share a not-so-fun story. While recording this footage, I unfortunately lost power partway through. Now, it wouldn't have been so bad, but it wasn't during the fight. It was after it, so I had already saved, and I was just trying to get B-roll. Now I was stuck with some corrupted footage. I tried finding a solution online, and the recommendation for the, quote, best free video repair service turned out to not actually be free. And I only found this out after over an hour of processing. The worst part was, when I looked at it, they wanted to stick their logo right on top of it, and I also needed to pay? That's ridiculous. Thankfully, I did shop around a bit more and found an actually free service, and well, here we are. Now you get to see this fight in its full glory. So let's get back to it. And with that, another badge down, and another piece of the story in the books. Hello if you're new, and welcome back if you ain't. I made a boo-boo and realized that this video probably should have just been part of the last one, because getting to the next badge is really easy. All I have to do is go to Juba Life and head west. That's it. I run into Mango. And once again thrash him. And we're already at Byron. But you know, I don't want the video to end here yet. No, I want to actually make a change and put the challenge back into Challenge Run. I have decided that I want to mix up the team a little bit and start experimenting with new matchups. For this, I'm going to drop not one but two members through a single Pokemon. Everyone say hello to Clippu the Wingull. With him, we can drop both Drupert and Gyat. It's sad to see them go, but, you know, I think the change will be good for us. I also will now need to research what mons will be on the upcoming routes. And who knows, maybe we can try someone I've never actually used before in Diamond or Pearl. But I think that's going to call it good for this one. Hello if you're new, and welcome back if you ain't. I got some book learning to do and head on over to the Canal Ave Library. I get a quick lecture from Rowan about legendary cooked steak or something, and then head over to Lake Valor because a bomb or whatever. I find Commander Saturn and give them what for. I head back to Twin Leaf to see Mom for a minute just before heading up to Lake Verity to help Dawn take on Commander Mars. With her out of the way, we have one place left to check, and that's up north to Lake Acuity to see how Goji's doing. With a slew of new tools, we can make our way through Mount Coronet a lot easier, and even find a couple of things. On to and through Route 216. We eventually get to Snow Point City. We have to defeat Candace before she can help us get to Lake Acuity. Enjoy this sped up clip of me doing the puzzle. And now, on to our fight. With the iceberg badge in hand, we can now go and thwart Team Galactic, but I think that'll be for another time. Hello if you're new, and welcome back if you ain't. Picking up from last time, I need to head back to Lake Acuity and check back on Bilberry. Unfortunately, he lost to Pluto Nash and sulks away. I need to head back to Filestone City and storm the Galactic HQ. Thankfully, this grunt is careless and drops the warehouse key right in front of me. Enjoy the supercut as I make my stomp through the HQ. Now we get to take on Cyrus and try to free those lake spirits. Of course he already has what he needs, but I can't go after him quite yet. I need to let those Blake babies go. Saturn ain't much of a commander, but at least he lets us hit the release button. Now on to Mount Coronet, where we can face Cyrus for the last time at the summit. It's quite the trek up there, as I honestly forgot most of the route. Of course, before the leader, we have to face off with the underlings one more time. Thankfully, we have Raspberry to help redeem himself. Finally, our last bout with the old-looking young man. Now we get our chance to catch the legendary Palkia, or as I like to call them, Piranga. And with that, I think we'll call this episode good. Hello if you're new, and welcome back if you ain't. Today is a special day as I need to tackle my last gym and finalize my team for the Elite Four. Heading over to Pastoria Town, I can make my way onto Route 222 in Sunny Shore. I talked to Clint for a second before making a 180 and heading back up 222 to find something very special. I'm proud to say we now have our new member, Glimbra the Gastrodon. I do need to go on a small quest over to the Iron Island for a particular item. Along the way, I run into fan-favorite companion, Riley, and we make our way down the mount. After parting ways, I'm finally able to get the Shiny Stone, which allows me to evolve Thornton for the last time. Heading back to Sunny Shore, I do some off-camera grinding before talking to Clint, who needs me to go cheer up Volkner or something. And we find him at the lighthouse. Once he has returned to his gym, I can navigate the puzzles and show him the heart of the cards or something. And with that, I have the beacon badge, and I've earned the right to face the Elite Four. Hopefully, this will go well, but only time can tell. Hello if you're new, and welcome back if you ain't. On what might be the last episode of the TCC, I have to talk to Jasmine before heading up Route 223 to the Pokemon League. This means a quick swim followed by some cave diving. After making it inside and healing up, I get my final bout with Barry. I need a quick rest, but I do want to test the league real quick just to see how much grinding I might need to do. Well, that's the halt of a man who knows he messed up. And mess up I did, as now my only option out of this is to intentionally get kicked out by losing. This is the part where I want to be a little bit open. I had started grinding to about level 70 or so, and then I decided to make it a little bit easier on myself. This means I transferred my team into the various games that accept them, pumping them full of some candies, before taking them back. And now, what should be my final tear through the Elite Four and Cynthia. this is it. It's over. I went all the way from Twin Leaf to Savior of the Universe and back down to Champion of Sinnoh. I want to thank everyone who has watched my journey. I hope this series has inspired you to maybe try it out yourself. If you would like to see a return to this format in the future, then hey, I'm going to leave the comment section open and please suggest other titles to play. But until next time, stay cuddly, my friends.